Let's catch up now with former federal frontbencher, Labor and Labor MP, of course, Michael Danby, who joins us live from Melbourne. Good to talk to you, Michael.
How are you, Chris?
Not too bad at all. As a member of the sensible club in the Labor Party, let me put it that way, Club Sensible, Christopher Pearson used to refer to it as, you'd be disappointed that Joel FITZGIBBON is leaving Parliament, wouldn't you?
I am. He's a mate. He's one of our last regional representatives, a very important point if you're looking at the next federal election. He feels he's dragged Labor back to the centre, not just on coal, dividend imputation, but tax. But I am concerned, without a feisty person like him there, that it's a hard place to hold. He is a bit happy, though, because he told me that he got elbow to visit a coal mine.
Yeah, I think there's a big claim. I agree with you that Joel FITZGIBBON's been doing good work. He's argued the case for mainstream values, for the regional areas, for the coal industry and a whole range of other issues. But it's a big claim to say he's dragged Labor back to the centre. I would have thought he's fought a bit of a losing battle, and without him there, it might be just handed over to the socialist left. Well,
I don't think it'll be handed over to the socialist left. It'll go to the... If he doesn't win, they've got a 9% swing against him. The Nationals, the Shooters, his old mate Mark Latham's One Nation might all combine to do a bit of a reverse in a regional area like that.
Oh yeah, hang on. Just let me jump in there. I wasn't suggesting the seat would go to the socialist left. I'm thinking about the policy direction of the Labor Party more generally. But yes,
I see.
Going back to his seat in the Hunter, you're right. He had a tough fight against One Nation last time, and given how close that electorate is, it won't be a lay-down misere at the federal election, will it?
It won't. I go back to your point about coal and Labor. Metallurgical coal is $200 a tonne, all-time high at the moment. And Labor people have got to learn, if we're going to have this massive social security state that we've got to pay for it somehow. And the vast amount of taxes we get from oil, gas, from coal and iron ore, enables us to have the social welfare state that we have, and people have got to go into bat for it. And that's the point that Joel FITZGIBBON was constantly making, and well.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens there, but I think it's disappointing. I suppose it's not so much disappointing that Joel FITZGIBBON is going. He's 60, he's got other things to do. He's playing a lot of golf these days, I'm told. But, I mean, the pity is we're not seeing more of these mainstream right faction Labor candidates come through and dominate the party. And I know you'd agree you'd want to see plenty more of that. To which end, I suppose, theoretically, Christina KENEALLY's a member of the right faction, isn't she? Does she add ballast to Labor in the western suburbs of Sydney?
I think you make a good point. You're very naughty with that Christina new video. But it's very hard to transit from one place to another, then to a third. People, do mark you down for that. Albo obviously needed her in there to sort of have another senior woman from New South Wales to balance his rival Tanya Plibersek. But the point is that Christine has got to fight on issues. She's got to distinguish herself. The reason people voted for Hawke and Keating governments in the past was that especially the leading Labor right stood for issues that the centre of Australian politics could identify with. Now, the ironic thing is Albo's got a good chance at this election. He's a left-wing leader with more right-wing policies. You might dispute me on this, but the contrast is Bill Shorten was a right-wing leader with more left-wing policies. So that didn't work either. I think the next election is very open. We could have seats like Hunter go the other way from the general drift. And I think the situation in Fowler, I don't think she'll lose the seat, but she'll be marked down for moving from the northern beaches to the west. And I do have a lot of sympathy, as Anne Ali does, for that wonderful Vietnamese woman who... children of boat refugees, isn't that a sort of an accolade to Australia that a person like that should be aspiring to federal parliament?
Yeah, well, if you're going to play identity politics, of course, Tu Le is a Vietnamese, as you say, daughter of immigrants. Christina KENEALLY's an immigrant herself as well, and female. But it is a bad signal to Labor, isn't it? Where you've got someone who's from that community working their way up through the Labor Party. They're the people you want to get the local pre-selection. but you get this blow in, via Bennelong, the Senate, Scotland Island, and now into Fowler.
Well, it is a problem shifting around there. And I think also the Labor Party has torn itself to pieces over this. I'm not sure that the Secretary of the Labor Party is long for this political world. Mind you, at least, unlike the past three, he hasn't been in front of ICAC for receiving foreign interference donations from a certain power.
You're worried about New South Wales Labor and China, aren't you?
I am. I think they're a continuous yoke around our neck. The rest of the Labor Party is very sensible. Even Albo and Wong are more sensible than a lot of the people there. And, just make the point. Whenever I come on this program, I say to you, the last three General Secretaries of the Labor Party represent the continuation of the Rum Rebellion mentality, and it's not financed by Rum, but it's financed by a power that wishes Australia no good. And I don't agree with Paul Keating that we have to genuflect to Beijing. I agree with him that we should go into the Asian Development Bank and we should approach Chinese economic proposals sensibly. But there's a real change there, Chris, and the fact that our leaders don't speak about this more often means that at the next election, the Liberal Conservative government has got 80% of Australians who are very concerned about an aggressive Beijing, considering their policies more favourably than ours. We've got to speak up on human rights. We've got to speak up on Beijing. Christina KENEALLY should be leading the campaign to keep Taiwan free of Beijing's aggression. That'd wake the Australian people up if Labor was as patriotic and as aggressive on these issues as Dutton and Co.
We've gone from the Hunter to Fowler and to Beijing, but as you eloquently expressed there, Michael, it is all linked. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Chris, for having me.
Michael Danby there, former Labor member for the seat of Melbourne Ports, former frontbencher for the Federal Labor Party.